The Ming Dynasty saw a significant development in trade and commerce, and this development had a significant impact on the modern Chinese society and economy. During this period, the Ming government implemented a number of reforms to encourage trade and commerce, and these reforms helped to create a more prosperous society. One of the most important reforms of the Ming Dynasty was the implementation of a unified currency system. This system helped to simplify trade and commerce, and it also helped to promote economic development. Additionally, the Ming government also implemented a number of policies to encourage foreign trade and investment, which helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. The Ming Dynasty also saw the development of a number of important industries, such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing. These industries helped to create a more prosperous society, and they also helped to create new jobs and opportunities for individuals. Additionally, the development of these industries also helped to create a more interconnected global economy, as the Chinese people began to trade with other countries. Overall, the Ming Dynasty saw a significant development in trade and commerce, and this development had a significant impact on the modern Chinese society and economy. These reforms and developments helped to create a more prosperous society, and they also helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. Additionally, these reforms and developments also helped to create a more interconnected global economy, which has helped to shape the modern world. The Qing Dynasty, 1644 to 1912, in China was marked by significant developments in commerce and business, as the country underwent a period of economic growth and expansion. The period saw the emergence of new commercial practices and institutions, which had a profound impact on Chinese society and culture. One of the key developments during the Qing Dynasty was the growth of international trade. The period saw the expansion of China's trade relations with other countries, particularly with European powers such as Britain and France. This expansion of trade helped to fuel the growth of China's economy, and contributed to the development of new industries and commercial enterprises. Another significant development during the Qing Dynasty was the growth of domestic trade. The period saw the emergence of new commercial centers and markets throughout China, as well as the development of new transportation and communication technologies. These developments helped to connect different regions of China and facilitated the movement of goods and people across the country. The growth of commerce and business during the Qing Dynasty had a significant impact on Chinese society and culture. These developments helped to foster the growth of a new merchant class, which played an important role in the country's economic and social development. The growth of commerce and business also helped to shape the development of Chinese art and culture. As new forms of art and entertainment emerged to cater to the growing demand of a new consumer class. Today, the legacy of the growth of commerce and business during the Qing Dynasty can be seen in many aspects of modern China's economy and society. The country's rapid economic growth and development over the past several decades can be traced back to the expansion of commerce and business during the Qing Dynasty. The emergence of new commercial practices and institutions also laid the groundwork for the development of modern Chinese business practices and institutions, which continue to shape the country's economic and social development today. The Qing Dynasty, 1636 to 1912 AD, saw major growth in commerce and business in China. This led to changes that shaped modern Chinese society and economy. When the Qing took power, China's economy was still largely agrarian. The Qing expanded trade links with the West, including Britain. This led to the import of opium, which caused social problems but also stimulated the economy. The Qing built new roads and canals to facilitate commerce. As trade expanded, cities grew rapidly. Beijing's population tripled during the Qing. Merchants emerged as a new social class. Wealthy merchants could build lavish homes and gain high social status. There was also greater geographical mobility as business caused people to migrate for work. Regional specialization developed, with areas focusing on rice, tea, silk, or industry. This increased productivity but also economic interdependence. Famines caused by crop failure could spread more easily across regions. Major ports like Shanghai, Guangzhou, Xiamen, and Fuzhou became hubs for trade, finance, and foreign investment. Western imperialism threatened China's economy and sovereignty. The Qing tried to modernize to compete, but efforts were limited. After defeat in the Opium Wars, foreign powers gained control of trade ports and the right to sell opium. Unequal treaties caused resentment but also spurred calls for reform. Reforms in the 1900s aimed to build a modern economy with industries, railways, schools, and new legal and financial systems. However, reforms came too late and were limited. By the early 1900s, China remained poor, unstable, and semi-colonized. The economic legacy of the Qing included both promise of progress and pain of exploitation. The Qing era saw the transition from an agrarian to a commercial economy in China, with lasting impacts. Growth of trade, cities, ports, and merchant wealth shaped society and opportunities. Specialization increased productivity but also vulnerability. Western imperialism threatened China's very sovereignty and identity. And late, incomplete reforms highlighted both the promise and peril of economic change. This transition period left a tangled legacy of progress, exploitation, and resentment that has influenced China's economy and society ever since. In summary, commerce and business expanded massively in Qing dynasty China, with huge consequences. Trade links grew, cities swelled, new wealth emerged, and economic interdependence developed. However, threats also emerged, from within and without, challenging China's economy, independence, and stability. The complex legacy of the Qing era, including promise of progress and pain of exploitation, has impacted China right up until today. The Three Kingdoms period saw a number of notable battles, which had a significant impact on the history of China. One of the most famous battles of the period was the Battle of Hanzhong, which took place in 219 AD. This battle was fought between the forces of Cao Cao and Liu Bei, and it resulted in a decisive victory for Cao Cao. The victory at the Battle of Hanzhong helped to solidify Cao Cao's power, and it also helped to create a more unified China. Another important battle of the period was the Battle of Chibi, which took place in 208 AD. This battle was fought between the forces of Sun Quan and Cao Cao, and it resulted in a decisive victory for Sun Quan. The victory at the Battle of Chibi helped to solidify Sun Quan's power, and it also helped to create a more unified China. The Battle of Red Cliffs, which took place in 208 AD, was another important battle of the period. This battle was fought between the forces of Liu Bei and Cao Cao, and it resulted in a decisive victory for Liu Bei. The victory at the Battle of Red Cliffs helped to solidify Liu Bei's power, and it also helped to create a more unified China. Finally, the Battle of Daxuyuan, which took place in 225 AD, was another important battle of the period. This battle was fought between the forces of Sun Quan and Liu Bei, and it resulted in a decisive victory for Sun Quan. The victory at the Battle of Daxuyuan helped to solidify Sun Quan's power, and it also helped to create a more unified China. Overall, the Three Kingdoms period saw a number of notable battles, which had a significant impact on the history of China. These battles helped to solidify the power of the various rulers, and they also helped to create a more unified China. Additionally, these battles also helped to shape the history of China, and they helped to create the unified country that we know today. The Three Kingdoms period in China, which lasted from 220 to 280 AD, was a time of intense conflict and warfare. The period was marked by a series of battles and campaigns between the various kingdoms and warlords, many of which had a significant impact on Chinese history and culture. One of the most famous battles of the Three Kingdoms period was the Battle of Huao Pass. This battle, which took place in 192 AD, marked the beginning of the end of the Han Dynasty and the start of a period of political and social upheaval. The battle saw the forces of the warlord Dong Zhou defeat a coalition of regional forces led by the general Yuan Shao. Another significant battle of the Three Kingdoms period was the Battle of Qi. This battle, which took place in 208 AD, saw the forces of the warlord Cao Cao defeated by a coalition of forces led by the warlords Liu Bei and Sun Quan. The battle is often cited as a turning point in the period, as it helped to establish Liu Bei and Sun Quan as major players in the struggle for power. The Battle of Hefei, which took place in 215 AD, was another key battle of the Three Kingdoms period. The battle saw the forces of the warlord Cao Cao attempt to capture the city of Hefei from the forces of the warlord Sun Quan. The battle was marked by fierce fighting and significant casualties, and ultimately ended in a stalemate. The Battle of Guandu, which took place in 200 AD, was another significant battle of the Three Kingdoms period. The battle saw the forces of Cao Cao defeat the forces of the warlord Yuan Shao, and marked a significant shift in the balance of power in the period. One final battle of the Three Kingdoms period that deserves mention is the Battle of Red Cliffs. This battle, which took place in 208 AD, saw the forces of Liu Bei and Sun Quan defeat the forces of Cao Cao in a decisive naval battle. The battle is often cited as one of the most significant battles in Chinese history, as it helped to establish Liu Bei and Sun Quan as major players in the period and marked the beginning of the end for Cao Cao's ambitions of unifying China under his rule. There were several significant battles during the Three Kingdoms period, 220 to 280 AD, of Chinese history. These included the battles of Hanye, Qibai, Gosha, and Daoshen. They impacted China's history through changes in dynasties, territory, and prestige. The Battle of Hanye, 226 AD, was a loss for Shu Han against Wu. It led to Shu ceding territory to Wu, reducing its power. The Battle of Qibai, 223 AD, was a major victory for Shu Han against Wei. Shu defeated a larger Wei force, boosting its prestige and challenging Wei's dominance. The Battle of Gosha, 254 AD, was a stunning upset, with a small Wei force defeating a much larger Shu Han army. It greatly weakened Shu and paved the way for Wei's reunification of China. The Battle of Daoshen, 311 AD, involved coalitions of Jin Shangyu defeating Western Jin forces. It led to the fall of Western Jin and Chinese control of the northern steppes. These battles resulted in shifts of territory, power, and prestige between the three kingdoms. Victories led to expansion while defeats caused contraction. They shaped the rise and fall of Shu Han and Western Jin, with Wei ultimately emerging as the dominant power to reunify China. The outcomes had lasting impacts. The battles of Qibai and Gosha became symbolic of victory and defeat, influencing military strategy. Territorial changes redrew political maps, while power shifts transformed the balance of forces. Defeat spurred migrations, as conquered peoples were relocated. The Three Kingdoms period ended with China reunified under the Jin dynasty. However, the legacies of division, like regional subcultures, persisted for centuries. Memories of victories and defeats at Hanye, Qibai, and elsewhere also endured in Chinese history, representing the drama and danger of the age. In summary, the key battles of Hanye, Qibai, Gosha, and Daoshen marked turning points in the Three Kingdoms period with far-reaching consequences. They reflected the rise and fall of kingdoms, expansion and contraction of territory, and transfer of power, prestige and culture between rival forces. Though brief, these clashes shaped China's long journey to reunification and left a lasting imprint on history, strategy, and identity. They represent the tumult of the era, with impacts that span centuries. The battles of Three Kingdoms China live on today as symbols of triumph, tragedy, and the human drive for dominance. The Three Kingdoms period in Chinese history was characterized by a series of wars and battles that shaped the course of Chinese history. The city of Shenzhen, located in Guangdong Province, has experienced a significant economic boom over the past few decades. This boom has been largely driven by the establishment of the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone in 1980, which has helped to attract foreign investment and create new jobs and opportunities for the local population. Additionally, the city has also seen a rapid expansion of its infrastructure, which has helped to create a more modern and efficient economy. The Shenzhen Special Economic Zone has been a major driver of the city's economic development. This zone has helped to attract foreign investment, and it has also helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. Additionally, the zone has also helped to promote the development of new technologies, which has helped to create a more modern and efficient economy. The city of Shenzhen has also seen a rapid expansion of its infrastructure, which has helped to create a more modern and efficient economy. This expansion has included the construction of new roads, bridges, and other transportation infrastructure, as well as the development of new technologies and services. Additionally, the city has also seen an increase in the number of businesses and industries, which has helped to create new jobs and opportunities for the local population. Overall, the city of Shenzhen has experienced a significant economic boom over the past few decades. This boom has been largely driven by the establishment of the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone, as well as the rapid expansion of the city's infrastructure. These developments have helped to create a more modern and efficient economy, and they have also helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. Additionally, these developments have also helped to create new jobs and opportunities for the local population. Shenzhen is a city in southern China that has emerged as a major economic and technological hub in recent decades. The city's rise to prominence began in the late 1970s, when it was designated as one of China's first special economic zones, SEZ. The establishment of the SEZ in Shenzhen was part of a broader effort by the Chinese government to open up the country's economy to foreign investment and trade. The SEZ were designed to offer foreign investors a range of incentives, including tax breaks and streamlined regulations, in order to encourage investment and economic growth. The establishment of the SEZ in Shenzhen proved to be a major success, as the city quickly became a magnet for foreign investment and entrepreneurial activity. The city's strategic location, close to Hong Kong, and its well-developed transportation infrastructure, made it an ideal location for businesses looking to establish a presence in China. In the years that followed, Shenzhen emerged as a major center for manufacturing and technology. As companies from around the world flocked to the city to take advantage of its low labor costs and favorable business environment. The city's economy grew rapidly, and by the 1990s, it had become one of the wealthiest and most dynamic cities in China. Today, Shenzhen is home to some of the world's leading technology companies, including Huawei, Tencent, and G. The city is also known for its vibrant startup scene, which has attracted entrepreneurs from around the world to set up businesses in the city. The rise of Shenzhen has had a significant impact on Chinese society and culture. The city's rapid economic growth and development have helped to lift millions of people out of poverty and contributed to the country's overall economic development. The city's success has also helped to fuel a broader shift in China's economic landscape, as the country has shifted away from traditional manufacturing towards high-tech industries and services. The Special Economic Zone of Shenzhen is a pillar of China's modern economy. Established in 1980, Shenzhen experienced rapid growth to become a global financial, technological, and trade hub. This success shaped China's reform and opening up. In the 1970s, Shenzhen was a small fishing village in Guangdong province. Economic reforms led China to establish special economic zones, (SEZ), along its coast. Shenzhen SEZ allowed for market reforms, foreign investment, and trade. This attracted businesses and boosted development. Shenzhen's economy grew rapidly through the 1980s-1990s. It focused on labor-intensive manufacturing and exporting. Hong Kong investors and businesses played a key role, using Shenzhen as a base to reach China's large market. New industries emerged, from toys and electronics to finance. Shenzhen's culture also became more consumerist and entrepreneurial. Shenzhen's success showed the potential of China's market economy. It demonstrated how SEZ could boost investment, productivity, jobs, and growth. The Shenzhen model helped strengthen support for reform across China. Its wealth and opportunity inspired Chinese from all over to migrate and develop businesses there. Shenzhen also started becoming a major financial hub, with a stock exchange and multi-billion-dollar tech companies listed in Hong Kong. Reform challenges emerged along with growth. There were issues of inequality, pollution, corruption, and over-reliance on foreign capital and markets. Still, the resourcefulness of Shenzhen's people and private sector helped to overcome many problems. There were also cultural changes, with greater social mobility, individualism, and Western influence, especially among youth. Today, Shenzhen is one of the most prosperous and innovative cities in China. It has a highly globalized, entrepreneurial, and technological economy. Over 75% of the world's electronic goods are produced in Shenzhen's Pearl River Delta. It also has China's most active stock market after Shanghai and Hong Kong. Shenzhen represents China's economic rise and complex reforms. It shows the potential of free markets, but also issues of inequality and over-reliance on foreign capital. Shenzhen has vibrant youth culture, social mobility, and diverse economic opportunities, but old challenges persist. It demonstrates China's ability to prosper through openness and innovation, with global connections but independent path. In summary, Shenzhen SEZ marked a new era of growth and reform in China. It transitioned from a small village to global metropolis, pioneering industrialization, openness, and capitalism in China. Shenzhen shaped China's broader economic opening up and modernization. The Reform and Opening Up movement, launched by Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping in 1978, marked a turning point in China's modern history. The movement aimed to reform and modernize China's economy and society, and to open up the country to the world. The Reform and Opening Up movement involved a series of economic and political reforms, including the decentralization of economic decision-making, the introduction of market-oriented policies, and the encouragement of foreign investment and trade. These reforms helped to fuel China's rapid economic growth and development over the following decades, and transformed the country into a major player in the global economy. The Reform and Opening Up movement also had a significant impact on Chinese society and culture. The movement created new opportunities for social mobility and entrepreneurship, and helped to foster the growth of a new middle class in China. The movement also helped to promote cultural exchange and openness, as China became more connected to the world. Despite the significant achievements of the Reform and Opening Up movement, it has also faced criticism and challenges. Critics have pointed to growing income inequality, environmental degradation, and political repression as major challenges facing China today. The movement has also faced resistance from conservative elements within the Chinese Communist Party, who fear that the reforms will undermine their power and authority. Today, the legacy of the Reform and Opening Up movement can be seen in many aspects of modern China's economy and society. The country's rapid economic growth and development over the past several decades can be traced back to the reforms introduced during the movement. The movement also helped to shape modern Chinese culture and society, as new forms of art, literature, and entertainment emerged to reflect the changing realities of Chinese life. China's reforms and opening up began in 1978 under Deng Xiaoping. This marked a shift to capitalism and global engagement after years of isolation. The reforms and opening up led to rapid growth, modernization, and rising global influence. In the 1950s-1970s, China followed a Soviet-style communist path. The economy was centrally planned, foreign capital was restricted, and China was isolated from the global economy. This led to poor living standards, stagnation, and famine. Deng argued for market-based reforms to improve efficiency and prosperity. He established special economic zones to experiment with free markets and gain support for broader reforms. In the 1980s, China started reforming agriculture, reducing state control of industries, and opening up to foreign trade and investment. Many state-owned enterprises were privatized. Opening up brought economic opportunity, but also threats like dependency and exploitation. China had to open selectively to gain benefits while mitigating costs. It encouraged technological and capital inflows, but restricted areas like finance and high-tech. China used its large market and low costs to attract multinationals, while policies aimed to retain control and upgrade industries. The reforms turbocharged growth, creating millions of jobs and lifting hundreds of millions from poverty. They also modernized industry, infrastructure, agriculture, science and technology, and standards of living. China's economy became increasingly market-based, technologically advanced, globally engaged, and urbanized. Its influence expanded greatly on the global stage. However, the reforms led to issues like inequality, corruption, poor governance, environmental degradation, over-reliance on investment and exports, and financial risks. Labor rights and living standards improved but were still limited. There were also debates around capitalism versus communism, tradition versus modernity, and nationalism versus globalism. Reforms redefined China's economy, society, and role in the world. They shaped the rise of private business, a vast middle class, and greater citizen prosperity and empowerment. But the Chinese Communist Party still maintains control, and there are concerns around sustainability, stability, and ideology. Reforms highlighted both the promise and perils of China's new path. In summary, China's reforms and opening up marked a pivotal moment of change. They led China from isolation to global engagement, from poverty to prosperity, and from ideology to pragmatism. The reforms transformed China into a major economic and technological power, with a huge impact on the world. However, they also highlighted some of the deepest challenges China faces around governance, environment, inequality, and ideology. China's new path remains complex, with opportunities and obstacles closely intertwined. The reforms shaped China's emergence as a global economic force, but determining its future role on the global stage is still unfolding. The story of reforms and opening up reflects both the thrill of progress and angst of transition in China today. The reform and opening up movement, which began in 1978, has had a significant impact on the history and development of China. This movement has helped to transform the country from a closed and isolated society to an open and modern society. The reform and opening up movement has helped to promote economic development in China. This movement has helped to create a more open and competitive market economy, and it has also helped to attract foreign investment and create new jobs and opportunities for the Chinese people. Additionally, the movement has also helped to promote the development of new technologies and services, which has helped to create a more modern and efficient economy. The reform and opening up movement has also helped to promote social and political reforms in China. This movement has helped to create a more open and tolerant society, and it has also helped to promote the development of a more democratic system of government. Additionally, the movement has also helped to promote the spread of Chinese culture to other parts of the world, which has helped to create a more interconnected global community. Overall, the reform and opening up movement has had a significant impact on the history and development of China. This movement has helped to transform the country from a closed and isolated society to an open and modern society, and it has also helped to create a more open and competitive market economy. Additionally, this movement has also helped to promote social and political reforms in China, and it has helped to promote the spread of Chinese culture to other parts of the world. The reform and opening up movement, launched by Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping in 1978, was a transformative period in modern Chinese history. The movement aimed to modernize China's economy and society by introducing market-oriented reforms and opening up the country to foreign investment and trade. One of the key goals of the reform and opening up movement was to shift China away from its centrally planned economy and towards a more market-oriented system. The Ming Dynasty saw a number of changes to the immigration policy of China, and these changes had a significant impact on the population and society of China. During this period, the Ming government implemented a number of reforms to encourage immigration, and these reforms helped to create a more diverse and multicultural society. One of the most important reforms of the Ming Dynasty was the implementation of a new immigration system. This system helped to simplify the process of immigration, and it also helped to encourage people from other countries to come to China. Additionally, the Ming government also implemented a number of policies to encourage foreign investment, which helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. The Ming Dynasty also saw the development of a number of important industries, such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing. These industries helped to create a more prosperous society, and they also helped to create new jobs and opportunities for immigrants. Additionally, the development of these industries also helped to create a more interconnected global economy, as the Chinese people began to trade with other countries. Overall, the Ming Dynasty saw a number of changes to the immigration policy of China, and these changes had a significant impact on the population and society of China. These reforms and developments helped to create a more diverse and multicultural society, and they also helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. Additionally, these reforms and developments also helped to create a more interconnected global economy, which has helped to shape the modern world. The Qing Dynasty, 1644 to 1912, in China witnessed significant changes in immigration policies that had a profound impact on the country's population and society. These immigration policies were closely linked to the dynastic goals of territorial expansion, population growth, and economic development. During the early years of the Qing Dynasty, immigration to China was largely restricted, as the Manchu rulers sought to maintain their control over the country's population. However, as the dynasty expanded its territory and faced labor shortages, immigration policies were gradually relaxed. One of the key changes in immigration policies during the Qing Dynasty was the introduction of the sea ban in 1757. This policy restricted the movement of Chinese people outside China's coastal regions, in an effort to prevent population loss and protect the country's economic interests. Another significant change in immigration policies during the Qing Dynasty was the introduction of the Eight Banners system. This system allowed for the immigration of ethnic Manchus and Mongols to China, in an effort to bolster the dynasty's military and administrative capabilities. The changes in immigration policies during the Qing Dynasty had a profound impact on Chinese society and culture. The influx of ethnic Manchus and Mongols helped to shape the country's political and cultural landscape, and contributed to the development of a new ruling elite. The sea ban policy, meanwhile, had a significant impact on China's coastal regions, as it restricted trade and the movement of people, and contributed to the development of local economies and cultures. Today, the legacy of the changes in immigration policies during the Qing Dynasty can be seen in many aspects of modern China's population and society. The country's diverse ethnic makeup and cultural traditions can be traced back to the influx of ethnic Manchus and Mongols during the period. The sea ban policy, meanwhile, helped to shape the development of China's coastal regions, which remain important centers of trade and commerce today. China's population and society were greatly impacted by migration policies during the Qing Dynasty. The Qing oversaw massive internal migration, as well as migration to and from Chinese communities abroad. These changes shaped China's demographics, economy, and culture. When the Qing took power, China's population was around 100 million. It grew to over 400 million by 1912, due to declining mortality, improved agriculture, and limited wars. However, famines and epidemics still caused periodic depopulation. The Qing tried to limit migration but also encouraged it at times. The Qing expanded routes for internal migration. New roads and sea routes made it easier for people to move long distances for work or trade. This increased geographic mobility and economic specialization across China. Coastal and frontier regions attracted more migrants. The Qing era saw increased migration to and from Chinese communities overseas. More Chinese went abroad for work, especially to Southeast Asia. Family and business ties maintained connections between China and overseas Chinese communities. This expanded China's global reach and economic links, but also led to the coolie trade and abuse of Chinese laborers abroad. Migration policies reflected the Qing's complex aims. They wanted to limit depopulation but also control restlessness. Policies privileged Han Chinese migration over ethnic minority groups. Forced relocation, exile, and settlement of groups were used at times, shaping China's ethnic mosaic. There were also attempts to limit the brain drain of educated elites migrating abroad. Migration brought economic, social, and demographic changes. It increased diversity, connected markets, and spurred specialization. But it also led to social unrest, competition over resources, and prejudice. Migrants faced hardship, abuse, poverty, and limitation of rights. Their lives and contributions were often not officially recognized. In summary, migration policies and flows during the Qing dynasty had a profound impact on population, society, economy, and ethnicity in China. Internal migration connected China through improved routes and trade, increasing mobility and specialization. Migration to and from Chinese communities overseas expanded China's global linkages but also increased exploitation. Policies reflected complex objectives, with both positive and negative, intended and unintended consequences. Migration brought both opportunity and angst, shaping China's land, people, economy, and identity in fundamental ways during the Qing era. The legacies of migration, for good and ill, have endured long after. Policies and flows of people continue influencing China's path in the modern era. The story of migration in Qing China represents the turbulent transition from an agrarian to a more globally and economically connected society. It demonstrates the promise of progress, pain of loss, and unforeseen changes that came with it. The People's Republic of China was established in 1949, and since then it has experienced a significant period of growth and development. This period of growth and development has been driven by a number of factors, including the implementation of a number of economic and political reforms. One of the most important reforms of the People's Republic of China was the implementation of a market-oriented economy. This reform helped to create a more open and competitive market economy, and it also helped to attract foreign investment and create new jobs and opportunities for the Chinese people. Additionally, the government also implemented a number of policies to encourage foreign trade and investment, which helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. The People's Republic of China also saw the development of a number of important industries, such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing. These industries helped to create a more prosperous society, and they also helped to create new jobs and opportunities for individuals. Additionally, the development of these industries also helped to create a more interconnected global economy, as the Chinese people began to trade with other countries. Overall, the People's Republic of China has experienced a significant period of growth and development since its establishment in 1949. This period of growth and development has been driven by a number of factors, including the implementation of a number of economic and political reforms. These reforms and developments have helped to create a more open and competitive market economy, and they have also helped to create new markets and opportunities for businesses. Additionally, these reforms and developments have also helped to create a more interconnected global economy, which has helped to shape the modern world. The People's Republic of China, PRC, was established on October 1, 1949, following a long period of political and social upheaval in China. The establishment of the PRC marked a significant turning point in China's modern history, and had a profound impact on the country's society, politics, and economy. The PRC was founded by the Communist Party of China, CPC, which had been engaged in a long and bloody struggle for power with the Nationalist Party, KMT, led by Chiang Kai-shek. The CPC's ultimate victory in the Chinese Civil War paved the way for the establishment of the PRC, with Mao Zedong becoming the country's first chairman. In the early years of the PRC, the new government embarked on a series of social and economic reforms aimed at improving the lives of China's citizens. These reforms included the collectivization of agriculture, the nationalization of industry, and the establishment of a socialist system of land ownership. However, the early years of the PRC were also marked by political repression and violence, as the new government sought to consolidate its power and eliminate opposition. The anti-rightist movement of the late 1950s, the Great Leap Forward of the early 1960s, and the Cultural Revolution of the late 1960s and early 1970s were all characterized by political repression, violence, and human rights abuses. Despite these challenges, the PRC experienced significant economic growth and development in the years that followed. The country's shift towards a market-oriented economy in the 1980s and 1990s helped to fuel rapid economic growth and transform China into one of the world's largest economies. Today, the PRC remains a one-party socialist state, led by the CPC. The country's political and economic systems have undergone significant changes since the establishment of the PRC. But issues of political repression, human rights, and censorship continue to be major concerns for many inside and outside of China. The People's Republic of China was founded in 1949 by the Communist Party of China. It marked the end of imperial rule in China and the beginning of communist governance. The PRC's establishment and development have shaped China's path in the modern era with complex and controversial impacts. The Chinese Civil War between the CCP and nationalists, KMT, ended with the CCP's victory. On October 1, 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the founding of the PRC. The new state took control over mainland China, while the KMT fled to Taiwan. The PRC established a socialist system based on public ownership and central planning. Collectivization, social control, and industrialization were pursued rapidly under Mao's totalitarian rule. This led to economic growth, improved standards of living, elimination of warlords, and improved national unity. However, it also caused famines, political purges, loss of freedoms, and cultural destruction. Reform and opening up began in 1978 under Deng Xiaoping. He introduced capitalist market elements and promoted global engagement. This fueled prosperity and modernization but also inequality, pollution, and corruption. There were debates over the relative merits of socialism versus capitalism. Critics saw a move away from communist ideals, while supporters argued for socialism with Chinese characteristics. The PRC expanded greatly on the global stage, as a leader of the developing world, member of the UN, and major economic power. It used its growing influence on issues like trade, aid, territorial disputes, and developing country alliances. However, China's rise also led to geopolitical tensions with Western powers, anxiety over expansionism among neighbors, and accusations of unfair trade practices. Reform also expanded citizen rights and empowerment in China. There is more civil society space, access to information, religious freedom, and middle-class prosperity. However, the CCP still maintains authoritarian control and suppresses political dissent and activism. There are debates over how to balance rights and stability, openness and control. The PRC's establishment shaped China's destiny in the modern era with profound and complex impacts. It led to both revolutionary change and destruction, prosperity and poverty, unity and unrest. After Mao, Deng's reforms opened up opportunities but also introduced challenges around inequality, environment, governance, and ideology that remain today. China's path since 1949 has been one of possibility and peril, progress and struggle. The PRC represents the promise and perils of radical change, communism's hopes and failures, and China's difficult navigation between tradition and modernity, isolation and globalization, unity and diversity. It profoundly defines China's identity, relationships, and role in the world today in ways that will continue evolving and shaping history for generations to come. In summary, the founding and development of the People's Republic of China have had a colossal and complex influence on China's destiny. Under Mao, the PRC established communist governance but at great cost. Reform and opening up introduced capitalist prosperity and global engagement but also anxieties and inequalities. Powerful challenges to China's system, identity, and role in the world remain. The PRC's story is one of possibility and peril that continues unfolding today, reflecting the human drive for progress and justice, purpose and struggle. World War II was one of the most catastrophic events in human history, and had a profound impact on countries and societies around the world. In China, the war was marked by a bitter struggle against Japanese aggression, and the country's efforts to resist and overcome this aggression had a significant impact on Chinese society and culture. The Japanese invasion of China began in 1937 and quickly escalated into a full-scale war. The Chinese government, led by Chiang Kai-shek, launched a resistance movement against the Japanese aggression and mobilized millions of people to fight for their country's independence and sovereignty. The resistance movement against Japan was marked by a series of brutal battles and campaigns, including the Battle of Shanghai, the Battle of Nanjing, and the Battle of Changsha. These battles were characterized by intense fighting, widespread destruction, and massive loss of life. Despite the challenges and setbacks faced by the Chinese resistance, the country continued to fight against Japanese aggression throughout the war. The resistance movement was marked by acts of bravery and heroism, with many individuals sacrificing their lives to defend their country and their people. The Chinese resistance movement against Japan had a significant impact on Chinese society and culture. The war galvanized the Chinese people and fostered a sense of national unity and pride. The resistance movement also played an important role in shaping China's post-war political and economic development. As the country emerged from the war with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Today, the legacy of the Chinese resistance movement against Japan can be seen in many aspects of modern China's society and culture. The country's sense of national unity and pride can be traced back to the war. And the country's continued efforts to resist foreign aggression reflect the lessons learned during this period of history. China's experience during World War II and resistance against Japan had a profound impact on its history. Japan's invasion of China in 1937 marked the start of full-scale war and a long struggle for independence. This shaped China's national identity, relations with the West, and path to communism. In the 1930s, China was weak and divided. The Chinese Civil War had not yet ended, and warlords still controlled territory. Japan saw China as a threat and target for expansion. In 1937, Japan launched a full-scale invasion, seizing coastal areas and key cities. The war caused massive casualties, devastation, and atrocities in China. Up to 20 million Chinese died, mostly civilians. The rape of Nanking showed Japan's hatred toward China. However, China refused to surrender, continuing guerrilla resistance for years. The war rallying patriotism and resistance against Japan. It strengthened the resolve of communist revolutionaries and nationalists to unite China. The Long March brought the CCP to the fore, and victory at Pingsingchang showed their strength. The CCP vowed to end foreign aggression and build a new China. The war turned public opinion in the West against Japan. As Japan seized more land, the West realized it threatened global security. The Doolittle Raid showed America would counter Japan. This led to closer cooperation, eventually defeating Japan. Cooperation with the West, including through the United Nations, shaped China's global identity and alliances after the war. China presented itself as a champion against oppression and imperialism. Tensions with the West would emerge later, but they were allies against Japan. The war strengthened the CCP's position in China. After Japan surrendered, the CCP won the Chinese Civil War and took control of mainland China. They were seen as heroes who led the resistance and defended China. This legitimized communist rule, though the KMT still controlled Taiwan. In summary, World War II and Japan's occupation had a profound and wide-ranging impact on China. It caused mass death and devastation, but also bolstered resistance and unity. It shaped China's relations with the West and path to communism. It forged China's national identity as a champion against imperialism and shaped the CCP's rise to power. The tumult of war introduced both anguish and opportunity, altercation and alliance. It continues influencing China's destiny, relationships, and role in the world today, a pivotal moment of struggle and progress, suffering and sacrifice, defeat and triumph. China's experience of World War II represents the human capacity for resilience, purpose, and change in the face of adversity. Though dark, it illuminated the flame of hope, integrity, and independence that has guided China's journey ever since. The war introduced both anguish and opportunity, revolution and alliance. It shaped China's path toward democracy and communism, unity and division. And its memory continues influencing China's identity, relationships, and global role, a testament to spirit indomitable against immense suffering and loss. Though a time of darkness, the war years forged a future of light. The story of China's struggle against Japan is one of courage, pain, progress, and prophecy that resonates still today. The Second World War saw a number of struggles between the Allied forces and the Axis powers, and one of the most important of these struggles was the struggle against Japan. This struggle was fought on multiple fronts, and it had a significant impact on the history of the world. The Allied forces fought a number of battles against Japan, and these battles helped to weaken Japan's military forces. Additionally, the Allied forces also implemented a number of economic and diplomatic measures to weaken Japan's economy and influence. These measures included the implementation of an oil embargo, the freezing of Japanese assets, and the imposition of economic sanctions.